The envelope felt ice cold in Eleanor's hand. The paper was thick, heavy parchment. It was as though it held centuries of secrets within its fibers. The Blackwood crest, a raven perched on a skull, seemed to stare back at her. It was an invitation to Blackwood Manor.
I've dedicated my life to chasing shadows. Ever since I was a child, I've been drawn to the darkness. I lost my parents in a tragic accident, an event that whispered of the supernatural.
This invitation, however, felt different. It beckoned her, promising answers to questions she hadn't dared to ask. Blackwood Manor was infamous. It was a place of whispers and shadows, a festering wound on the landscape.
Legend spoke of a malevolent entity trapped within its walls. Hardened by years of paranormal investigations, I felt a tremor of anticipation. This was no ordinary haunting. This was a chance to confront true evil.
Holding her breath, Eleanor opened the envelope. The air around her seemed to chill. The words, written in elegant cursive, sent a shiver down her spine. Your presence is requested at Blackwood Manor. The invitation was more than a request. It was a summons. Eleanor knew, with chilling certainty, that she had no choice but to accept. Blackwood Manor awaited. Eleanor wouldn't face Blackwood Manor alone. She needed a team, individuals with unique skills and unwavering resolve. The first person that came to mind was James Holloway, a historian with an insatiable thirst for the unknown.
Blackwood Manor. I've been researching that place for years. It's steeped in darkness. This belonged to Thomas Blackwood, the original owner. It's chilling stuff.
The next recruit was Dr. Evelyn Carter, a psychologist with a healthy dose of skepticism. Evelyn, with her sharp intellect and cool demeanor, provided a necessary balance to the team. Her logic grounded them, preventing them from succumbing to the manor's insidious whispers.
A haunting? Show me the evidence and I'll consider the possibility. Until then, I remain unconvinced.
Despite her skepticism, Eleanor detected a flicker of curiosity in Evelyn's eyes. Blackwood Manor had a way of worming its way into even the most rational minds. The team was assembled. They were an unlikely trio, united by their shared fascination with the unknown, their destination, Blackwood Manor, their mission to confront the darkness that lurked within its walls. The drive to Blackwood Manor was a descent into darkness. The landscape grew increasingly desolate. The trees gnarled and skeletal against the stormy sky. Rain lashed against the windows of their car, blurring the world outside into an impressionistic nightmare. The manor, a gothic monstrosity silhouetted against the brooding sky, loomed closer with every passing mile.
There's a palpable aura of despair here. It's as if the very air is heavy with sorrow.
It's just an old house, James. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Eleanor, however, felt a thrill course through her veins. This was it. This was the moment she'd been waiting for. Blackwood Manor, shrouded in shadow and steeped in legend, was about to reveal its secrets. The heavy oak door creaked open, as though disturbed after centuries of slumber. The air inside was stagnant and cold, thick with the smell of dust and decay. The foyer was a cavernous space, dominated by a grand staircase that spiraled upwards into darkness. Cobwebs hung like macabre tapestries, and the only light came from a single flickering gas lamp.
Well, that's welcoming.
The energy here is palpable. It's as if the walls themselves are watching us.
Eleanor, her senses on high alert, felt a prickle of unease crawl down her spine. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the distant drip of water. It was the silence of a place long abandoned, a silence that hummed with unseen energy. Moving cautiously, they began to explore. Each room was a testament to decay, the furnishings rotting, the wallpaper peeling from the walls like shed skin. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper into the manor, and a sense of dread settled over them like a shroud. The first sign was subtle, a cold spot in the library despite the lack of drafts. Then came the whispers, barely audible murmurs that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves.
Porous over Thomas Blackwood's journal, I swore I felt a cold hand brush against my neck.
Evelyn, attempting to rationalize the events, found her skepticism wavering. The feeling of being watched intensified.
In the dead of night, I woke to the sound of footsteps pacing outside my room. When I opened the door, the hallway was empty, but the air hung heavy with an unseen presence.
It's like something is toying with us, testing our limits.
The entity made its presence known most clearly in the grand ballroom. As they stood at the room's threshold, the temperature plummeted. The air grew thick, making it difficult to breathe. And then they saw it.
A shadowy figure, barely discernible in the darkness, stood at the far end of the ballroom. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural red light, piercing the gloom like burning coals.
The Watcher, as they came to call it, had made its presence known. James, immersed in his research, began to piece together the history of Blackwood Manor. Thomas Blackwood, the manor's original owner, had been a man obsessed with the occult. He'd sought to unlock the secrets of immortality, delving into forbidden rituals and ancient texts. His obsession, however, had come at a terrible price.
Blackwood had summoned something dark and powerful. He'd lost control of it. It had consumed him, twisted him into something unnatural.
The Watcher, James believed, was the result of Blackwood's botched ritual. It was a manifestation of his guilt, his fear, his desperate desire for life beyond death. It was trapped within the walls of the manor, feeding off the energy of the living.
My ancestors were servants at the manor, witnesses to Blackwood's descent into madness. I'm not just an investigator, I'm a descendant of the manor's tragic past.
The manor was a tapestry woven from the threads of their lives, past and present. They were bound to it, caught in its web of sorrow and despair, and the Watcher, the manifestation of Blackwood's tormented soul, was at the center of it all. As they delved deeper into the manor's secrets, they discovered a hidden chamber. Inside, they found Thomas Blackwood's journal, filled with his frantic ramblings and chilling illustrations of the entity he'd summoned. The journal revealed Blackwood's ultimate goal, to merge with the entity, achieving a twisted form of immortality.
He wanted to transcend death, but he became a prisoner of his own creation.
The journal also contained a ritual, a way to sever the Watcher's connection to the mortal world. It was a dangerous gamble, fraught with unknown consequences, but it was their only chance to escape the manor's clutches.
We have to do this, for ourselves and for all those who have suffered within these walls.
Evelyn, her skepticism replaced by a grim determination, nodded in agreement. They'd come too far to turn back now. They were bound to Blackwood Manor, but they wouldn't let it become their tomb. The ritual was complex, requiring precise timing and a deep understanding of the occult. As they gathered in the grand ballroom, the air crackled with energy. The Watcher, sensing their intentions, made its presence known. The temperature plummeted, and the air grew thick with the stench of decay. The shadowy figure materialized before them, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. It lunged at Eleanor, its claws outstretched. She dodged, the creature's touch brushing against her arm, sending a jolt of icy pain through her body. James, chanting words of power from the journal, managed to hold the Watcher at bay. Evelyn, her voice surprisingly steady, recited the incantation to sever the entity's connection to the mortal realm. The room pulsed with energy, the air shimmering around them. The Watcher shrieked, a sound that seemed to tear at the very fabric of reality. It thrashed against the unseen bonds that held it, its form flickering in and out of existence. The air crackled with energy, threatening to consume them all. With a final ear-splitting shriek, the Watcher was pulled back into the void. The room fell silent, the air still and heavy. The only sound was their ragged breathing and the pounding of their hearts. They had done it. They had banished the Watcher. Exhausted but exhilarated, they stumbled out of the manor. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, they watched as Blackwood Manor, shrouded in mist, faded from view. They had survived the night, but the experience had changed them, marking them forever with the touch of darkness.
I can't shake the feeling that something is amiss.
She glanced back at the spot where the manor had stood, a sense of unease settling over her. The Watcher was gone, but the evil that had permeated Blackwood Manor for centuries. That was another story. Some wounds, she realized, never truly heal. Some darkness lingers, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The Haunting of Blackwood